In the 3rd year of my marriage to Sebastian Thorne, he kept a younger, more delicate girl on the side, a secret everyone helped him hide from me. People around us always said I was his one true love, his weakness. But when he was drunk, he would laugh and say, "Charlotte Hayes." Once I had her, I realized she was nothing special after all. The man who, at 17, swore he would love me for a lifetime, was now whispering to a young girl, "She's so boring. Of course I love you the most, baby." The day I left, it was like any other. No one noticed anything was different. The maid smiled and asked if I was going out for shopping and tea. I smiled back and nodded. "You don't need to prepare dinner tonight. When I hear my love has found another, I will gather up our past, crush it, and burn it. And when it is burned, I will scatter the ashes to the wind." Sebastian didn't know that the nothing special Charlotte Hayes was stubborn to the core. In the dictionary of her life, the word forgiveness did not exist. I clutched my coat, a bag of liver, protecting pills in my hand. The corridor was long, the light from the lamps casting a kaleidoscope of colors on the oil paintings before falling. Lonely. Across the floor, at the end of the hall, the sound of laughter grew louder and louder. Sebastian had this entire floor on a long-term lease. No unauthorized personnel were allowed near, so they hadn't even bothered to close the door. The heel of my shoe caught on the plush carpet. As I bent down, the necklace around my neck suddenly snapped. Pearls, large and small, scattered across the floor. A sharp, inexplicable pain pricked my heart. Just as I was about to crouch down and pick them up, I heard Sebastian's voice. "Come on. I'm not a player like you guys. My first love, my one true love, the love of my life. That's my wife. And only her." He must have been drunk. His voice was thick with pride and satisfaction. I couldn't help but smile, the cool pearls in my hand feeling like a balm on my heart. "It's just a pity." Sebastian sighed suddenly. Once I had her, I realized she was nothing special after all. My hand clenched shut. The pearls dug into my palm, the smile freezing on my lips. "Then what about me, Sebastian?" A sweet, feminine voice suddenly cried out, laced with resentment and grievance. "You say your wife is the love of your life. Then what am I to you? Just last night, you said you loved me the most." The men all roared with laughter. "Silly girl. You actually believe what a man says in bed. Besides, it's only natural for a man to love his wife. You're the other woman. What right do you have to demand his affection?" "Sebastian, look at them." The girl's voice was now thick with tears. She sounded so pitiful it could break your heart. "All right, what are you all picking on her for?" "What? Other woman. This is my official girlfriend. Watch your mouths." Sebastian's voice grew heavy, tinged with annoyance. "No way. Seb, are you serious?" Sebastian grunted in affirmation. "She's been with me since she was 18. I have to be responsible." "You animal. You made your move the second she was legal. Aren't you afraid your wife will raise hell?" Sebastian laughed. "She depends on me for everything. What does she have to fight me with? But keep your mouth shut. I love my wife very much, and I don't want to see her sad." "You love your wife very much. So what about me?" The girl whined again. Sebastian pulled her into his arms to comfort her. "Is this little thing really worth crying over?" The girl sobbed and pouted. "Sebastian, I want you to say you love me the most. Even if you're lying, I'll believe you." "All right, baby." "She's so boring. Of course I love you the most." Standing in the shadows outside the door, I suddenly started to laugh. The man who had sworn to love me for a lifetime was now consoling a younger girl. But I didn't even have the desire to walk in and confront him. Once unfaithful, always unfaithful. It was a rule I lived by. I turned and walked back down that long corridor. At 17, Sebastian had secretly carved my name into his desk. He said, "Sebastian Thorne loves Charlotte Hayes. He will love her for a lifetime." But his lifetime was just a blink of an eye. A mere 10 years. When Sebastian came home, I was already downstairs having breakfast. He rushed in, carrying a large bouquet of flowers and a gift, his face a mask of apology and guilt. "I'm sorry, honey. The business dinner went on too late last night, so I couldn't make it back." When we married, he had promised that no matter how busy he was, he would never stay out all night. But for the past 6 months, he had been coming home later and later. This time, He hadn't come home at all. I put down my chopsticks and looked up at him. His suit, shirt, and tie were all fresh. He smelled clean and crisp. It must have taken some effort to be so meticulous. He set the flowers down and came over to kiss me. Honey, I swear, this is the first and last time. But I raised a hand to stop him and asked, word by word, did you sleep at the office last night? Sebastian didn't hesitate for a second. Yes. See, I'm even wearing the change of clothes you prepared for me. He took my shoulders, his expression cautious. Honey, are you angry? I'll spend the whole day with you today. Okay, I won't go to the office. I looked at him, at the reflection of myself in his pupils. His gaze was steady, without a hint of guilt. And I, too, was able to hide my heartbreak perfectly. No. I pushed his hands away. Let's eat first. But as soon as he sat down, his phone rang. I saw him frown and decline the call. It immediately rang again. He hesitated for a few seconds before declining it once more. Then, a message came through. After reading it, his brow furrowed tightly. Charlotte, something urgent came up at the office. You should go. No. I'll have Mark handle it. I promise to spend the day with you. He said this, but his face was a canvas of distraction. It's fine. Work is more important. Go on. I looked at him calmly, the pain in my heart turning to numbness. Sebastian struggled for only a moment before standing up. I'll try to be back as early as possible. I hummed in agreement, watching him hurry out to his car. Only then did I belatedly wipe away the cold tears on my face. I called my best friend. Stella, can you help me schedule a physical at your hospital today? When the results came back, I breathed a huge sigh of relief. My body was still clean. I wasn't pregnant. When I married Sebastian, my health was poor, so we had put off having children. But just in case, I had a thorough check. Up. Doctor, how is my recovery? After receiving a positive answer, the weight on my chest finally lifted. Clutching the report, I walked out. As I rounded a corner in the hallway, I heard Sebastian's name. Sebastian, if I'm really pregnant, can I please not get an abortion? I stopped, watching them from a distance. Sebastian had a cigarette between his fingers, his brow furrowed with impatience. The young girl, her face bare, was crying, tugging at his sleeve and begging. Sebastian sneered. My wife hasn't even had a child yet. What makes you think it's your turn? But this is my first baby. I can't bear to lose it. I promise I'll be good. I won't cause you any trouble. I'll never let your wife find out about me and the baby. Sebastian patted her cheek with the hand holding the cigarette. Don't be naive, baby. You're not having this child. Be a good girl and get rid of it. And I'll buy you another apartment. But if you don't, Zoe, let me be clear. There are plenty of beautiful, obedient girls at your university. I could sleep with a different one every night. It doesn't have to be you. His words terrified her. Her face was pale, tears still streaming down. I'll be good, Sebastian. Please don't leave me. Good girl. Go get your check. Up. I'll go. But husband, you said before that your wife's health is too poor to have children. If I'm really pregnant, can't I have the baby for her? She can even raise it. I won't fight for it. I promise. Sebastian was silent for a moment. Get the check. Up first. We'll talk after. The girl sniffled and went into the examination room. Sebastian finished his cigarette and stubbed it out. As he turned, I pretended to have just walked up. He seemed stunned to see me but quickly masked it with a look of concern. Honey, what are you doing at the hospital? Are you not feeling well? Are you hurt? Sebastian gripped my arm, looking frantic. Why didn't you call me? Coming to the hospital all by yourself. He looked me up and down, his eyes filled with an urgent worry, as if his love for me over the past 10 years had never faded. My hands and feet turned to ice. A chill seemed to emanate from my very bones. How could Sebastian be such a convincing actor? He called me, honey, while his mistress was in a room just down the hall, getting a pregnancy test. And yet, he showed no signs of guilt. It was so convincing that I almost couldn't tell which Sebastian was the real one. I'm fine, I said. I was just visiting a friend. He let out a long breath and pulled me into a hug. You scared me to death. Honey, Sebastian, are you really that worried about me? I looked at him and asked softly. How could I not be? You were in such poor health when we got married. It took me 3 years of careful nursing to get you back on your feet. Honey, do you know how terrified I was to see you here? If anything happened to you, how could I go on? I wanted to laugh, but my lips were stiff. My mouth trembled, as if filled with hot oil. Then what are you doing at the hospital? I asked. His arms tightened around me. Oh, I was visiting an elderly relative. He's been admitted. But this was the obstetrics and gynecology department. I didn't call him out on it. On the way home, his phone kept ringing. He finally just turned it off. Even if the world were ending today, I'm staying home with you. I didn't speak, just stared out the window. The route home took us past our old high school. Familiar scenes that were once sweet memories were now sugar-coated blades, stabbing at my heart. My vision blurred, and in the haze, I thought I saw the old me and the old Sebastian. Charlotte, please don't be mad. Please. Just let me explain. Just one sentence. Fine. One sentence. How about two? Two, please. The teenage Sebastian had pleaded, tugging at my sleeve. Get lost. Sebastian. Don't cry. Hit me. Charlotte. Hit me as hard as you can. Just please don't cry. A notification chimed on my phone in my bag, pulling me back to reality. It was a text from an unknown number. He says you're not healthy enough to go all the way. Married for 3 years and you've never tried a new position. He's sick of it. He also hates using condoms. He said if I get pregnant, I should just have the baby, since you can't anyway. Mrs. Thorne, you're so useless. Why are you even taking up the space? I suddenly laughed. Sebastian looked at me, curious. What's so funny? Honey, I locked my phone. My expression unchanged. My best friend is mad at me for forgetting our afternoon tea date. Sebastian seemed to relax. Are you still going? Of course. Otherwise, Stella will never let me hear the end of it. You should go to the office and take care of your work. Sebastian pouted. I'm starting to get jealous of Stella. You always take her side. I really don't want you to go. Can't we just have some time to ourselves? I looked back at him. He was already signaling to make a U-turn. I smiled and turned my face away. We'll have time later. You're right. We have a lifetime. I won't fight with Stella this time. He dropped me off at a private club and then sped away. Half an hour later, Zoe texted me again. Did he just ditch you? See. He said he can't resist when I cry. By the way, I'm pregnant. He said I can have the baby. He wants a daughter. But I want to give him a son. I've calculated it. It's definitely going to be a son. It's just a shame the doctor said we can't have sex during the first trimester. I haven't even worn the new lingerie he bought me. His needs are so great, and you can't satisfy him. He must be so frustrated. I didn't reply, just took screenshots of all her messages and saved them. My hands trembled as I did it. Perhaps Sebastian had been playing his part too well all these years, and I had been too naive and trusting. So when this absurd, decadent side of him was revealed, I still couldn't control my emotions. So the tenderness in bed that had moved me was all a lie. He had long grown tired of our tepid lovemaking. When I thought his restraint was a sign of love, reality slapped me in the face. It wasn't love or concern that had reduced our time together. It was simply that he couldn't be bothered to even pretend anymore. Before going home, I called my old mentor. Charlotte, my dear, why has it been so long since you've called? Professor, does your research team still need people? I'd like to join. Are you healthy enough? I had wanted to join right after graduation. The professor had been eager to have me, but my health was too poor then. The team traveled all over the country, all over the world. The conditions were often harsh. I just had a physical. The doctor said as long as I'm careful, it's not a problem. Will your husband agree? Charlotte, you know that if you join, you'll be away for long periods. And many of our projects are classified. You'll have almost no contact with your family. Professor, I've decided to get a divorce. Did he do something to hurt you? I smiled and nodded, swallowing my tears. Yes, he cheated on me. After 10 years together. Are you sure about this? Professor, do you remember what you told me when you were getting your divorce? When I hear my love has found another, I will gather up our past, crush it, and burn it. And when it is burned, I will scatter the ashes to the wind. My eyes were red, tears streaming down my face. Professor, I am your student. Of course. I am just like you. Good, good, Charlotte. Then I will be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for you to come. This was probably the first time since we were married that I had actively asked Sebastian for money. He sounded delighted on the phone. Honey, isn't my money all yours? You can use my card whenever you want. It's not the same. I insisted. All right. I'll have Mark transfer the money to you now. Sebastian, I'm not taking your money for free. I have a gift for you too. 3 days from now, go to the security office at our old high school. Ask for Mr. Song. You remember him, don't you? He'll give it to you. Sebastian laughed. How could I forget? He was the one who collected the hundreds of love letters I wrote you. I smiled too. Yes. Don't forget to pick it up in 3 days. I won't. Honey, I'm already looking forward to it. As soon as the money arrived, I anonymously donated it to my mentor's research team. I printed out the divorce agreement and all the screenshots, sealed them in an envelope, and personally delivered it to the security office. The broken pearl necklace and the first ring he ever gave me. I melted them down myself in my workshop and threw them away, along with the countless love letters he had written. On the last morning, I had breakfast with Sebastian as usual. I saw him off to work as usual. He looked apologetic. I was supposed to take you to the hot springs today. I broke my promise again. It's fine. Work is more important. I looked at him. My smile light. Go on. Don't be late. Sebastian looked at me with a gentle, guilty expression. Honey, you're always so considerate. So good. I've been so busy with work these past few years. I haven't spent enough time with you. I watched him, my mind drifting. The boy who had warmed my cold hands in the winter mist. The man who had knelt before his parents for a whole day to marry me. 10 years together. And he was still young and handsome. He had loved me. That was true. But the betrayal was also true. The guilt and pity were true. And the selfish indulgence in thrilling new love was also true. I knew I could play deaf and dumb and be Mrs. Thorne for the rest of my life. No one could take that position from me. But I didn't want to be his Mrs. Thorne anymore. I wanted to be Charlotte Hayes again. Sebastian suddenly pulled me into a hug. Honey, I love you so much. Wait for me to come back. We'll have dinner together. I don't know how I managed to force a smile. How I managed to hold back the pointless, superfluous questions. Luckily, his phone rang again. A life-saving summons. I pushed him away. Go on. Don't keep them waiting. He turned reluctantly, his steps gradually quickening. I smiled and went upstairs. I changed my clothes and went to the garden to tend to the flowers. As usual, I had a simple lunch. After a nap, I changed into clothes for going out, grabbed a bag with all my documents and important items, and went downstairs. The maid smiled. Are you going out for shopping and tea? I nodded and smiled back. Yes. You don't need to prepare dinner tonight. He wouldn't be home for dinner, and I would never be back. The driver dropped me off at my usual club and left. I went downstairs. The car arranged by my professor was already waiting at the corner. It had a classified license plate that no one could trace. Clutching my bag, I crossed the street and got in. As the door closed, my phone rang. The name flashing on the screen was Sebastian. I didn't decline the call. I knew this would be our last conversation. Honey, I don't even know how to tell you this. Sebastian's voice was full of frustration and guilt. I have a really important dinner tonight that I can't get out of. I can't have dinner with you, but I promise. I'll be home early tonight to be with you. Okay? Please don't be mad. I've already had Mark pick up the gift I ordered for you. You'll love it. I held the phone, staring out at the endless street. Beyond the hustle and bustle of the traffic was an empty silence. The image of him that had lingered in my heart for 10 years, the boy in the blue and white school uniform, vanished completely in that instant. I knew, with absolute certainty, that I no longer loved him. Honey, why aren't you saying anything? Are you mad? Sebastian asked cautiously. You know what? Forget it. I'll cancel. I'm coming home for dinner. Don't. It's fine, I said, looking down at my bare ring finger. You go ahead. Stella asked me to have dinner with her tonight. Then I'll try to be back early. Okay. If it's too late, just stay at the office. Don't drive back and forth. I'll be back no matter how late it is. I didn't say anything more. After a few more words, he hung up. I put the phone back in my bag and, in the gentle rocking of the car, slowly closed my eyes. Sebastian stood by the window in the corridor, a cigarette dangling from his lips. The sky outside was dark. Charlotte's health had always been delicate, and she kept a regular schedule. She was probably asleep by now. Zoe came out of the examination room, her eyes red. Sebastian had already put out his cigarette. He glanced at her. What did the doctor say? There's some light bleeding. The doctor recommended I stay on bed rest for the rest of the month. Then don't go to class. Rest at home. Husband, will you stay with me? Zoe asked pitifully, clinging to his arm. Sebastian frowned and pulled his arm away. I told you. Don't call me that. There's no one else here. All right. I'll have the driver take you home. Aren't you coming with me? I'm not feeling well today. I'm scared it will start bleeding again. Didn't the doctor give you medicine? Take it and rest. Sebastian walked toward the elevator. I'm not a doctor. There's no point in me staying. Zoe bit her lip, on the verge of tears again, but afraid of annoying him. She forced them back and followed him into the elevator. Sebastian. As she was getting into the car, she couldn't help but call his name. He looked at his watch, clearly impatient. What now? Will you come see me tomorrow? Didn't the doctor say we can't have sex this month? Sebastian raised an eyebrow. There's no point in me coming. I'm going to be spending this month with my wife. You'd better behave. Zoe was furious and hurt, tears streaming down her face, mindful of her pregnancy. Sebastian did offer a few words of comfort. Just rest. I'll come see you when I have time. Zoe watched him get into his own car and drive away without a backward glance. The tears froze on her face. She couldn't understand. She was younger, prettier. What did she lack compared to his sickly wife? The thought filled her with a bitter hatred. But she couldn't let go of him, or the life he provided. So she endured. Sebastian's car pulled up to his house. As the maid came out to greet him, he asked, as he always did, "Is my wife asleep?" The maid, taking his coat, looked surprised. "Isn't she with you?" "Sir." Sebastian stopped dead. "What did you say?" The night was dark, the only light from the house enveloping him. The madam went out this afternoon for shopping and tea. When the driver went to pick her up, she said she would be having dinner out with you. The maid grew more flustered as she spoke, her voice trembling. She said this afternoon that we didn't need to prepare dinner tonight. Sebastian lunged forward and grabbed the maid's collar. What else did she say? Don't leave out a single word. The maid was terrified. Nothing else. That's all she said. He shoved her away and stormed upstairs, dialing Stella's number. "You're looking for Charlotte. We didn't meet today, but she told me this afternoon that she was having dinner with you tonight," Sebastian said, his voice unnervingly calm, a calm that even he couldn't believe. No one could see the hand holding his phone, trembling uncontrollably. "Charlotte did call me, but I had a surgery, so we rescheduled." Sebastian didn't know how he ended the call. He called all of Charlotte's other close friends. None of them had seen her. He stood outside their bedroom. The door closed. For a moment, he didn't have the courage to open it. Charlotte was so smart. How could he have been so foolish as to think she was oblivious? But when had she found out? How much did she know? And could he win her forgiveness? Sebastian suddenly remembered something from years ago. In college, he had gotten a little too close with a younger girl from his club who had a crush on him. Charlotte had mentioned it to him twice, but he had dismissed it. He loved her. He had no interest in other women. Later, at a club dinner, he had taken a drink for the girl and walked her back to her dorm. Charlotte hadn't fought with him. She had simply broken up with him. He had been completely blindsided, his world collapsing. He could barely remember how he survived the 6 months they were apart, or how much effort it had taken to win her back. When he finally pushed the door open, his hand was shaking violently. The room was dark, the bed neatly made, empty. It was as if even her unique scent had vanished. He rushed in, frantically opening every door. Every room was empty, his hands shaking. He dialed her number. It rang, but no one answered. He forced himself to calm down, lit a cigarette, and took a drag before calling his assistant. "Mark, find her. Now. I need you to find her and run a check." He told him the club Charlotte had been at. Find out where she went after she left, where she is now, and who she's been in contact with. Check her IDs. Airports, train stations, bus stations. Don't miss anything. And track her phone. Let me know the second you have anything. Sebastian went downstairs and drove straight to the airport. There weren't many places she could go. Besides her small hometown a few hundred miles away, there was the city where her other best friend from college lived. He tried to reassure himself. He had been so careful. His friends had been warned. Zoe wouldn't dare. Maybe she had just heard some rumors. Maybe it was because he had been coming home late, breaking his promises. Maybe she was just trying to teach him a lesson. They were married now. Their lives were intertwined. Her health was poor. Without him, she was like a canary released from its golden cage. She wouldn't survive long. He told himself these things, but it was no use. His heart pounded in his chest, a frantic, agonizing rhythm. At a red light, he tried her number again. Still no answer. As he neared the airport, Mark called. The madam left the club around 4 p.m. But the surveillance footage for the entire street has been wiped. We can't track her. We've checked all the airports and train stations. No record of her traveling. Sir, perhaps she's still in the city. Sebastian gripped the steering wheel, a wave of relief washing over him. Keep looking. No matter what. Find her. And the phone location. We can't track it. It seems to have been blocked. Sebastian's mind went blank. He couldn't hear what Mark was saying anymore. He suddenly remembered what she had said when she asked for the money. She had a gift for him. At their old school. He was supposed to pick it up tomorrow. But he couldn't wait another second. He sped to the school. It was after midnight. The security office was dark. He got out and pounded on the door. A cold flake landed on his nose. He looked up. It was the first snow of the year. He and Charlotte had gotten together on a night just like this. He stood there in the falling snow, lost in a daze, until Mr. Song called his name several times. He was handed a simple brown envelope. The moment he took it, it felt like a hot coal in his hand. He wanted to drop it. Perhaps he already knew what was inside. Perhaps he couldn't bear to face it. But in the end, he opened it. The first thing he saw were the words, "Divorce agreement." On the last page was her signature and thumbprint. Below that were the printed chat logs. Other than that, she had left him nothing. And yet, everything had been said. He glanced at the chat logs and crumpled the paper in his fist. He apologized to Mr. Song, then drove straight to Zoe's apartment. She opened the door, sleepy but delighted to see him, and threw her arms around him. He slapped her across the face. He didn't speak, just hit her again and again. His face a cold mask. Her face swelled, her lips split and bleeding. She fell to the floor, clutching her stomach, crying and begging for mercy. He looked down at her, then kicked her in the abdomen without a shred of pity. She screamed in agony, blood pooling between her legs, staining the white carpet. But it wasn't enough. He bent down, grabbed her by the collar, and lifted her off the floor. "Who do you think you are?" He squeezed her swollen face. His handsome features twisted in a snarl. His voice was cold and calm. "A common whore, daring to cause trouble for my wife. I only let you get pregnant because I didn't want my wife to suffer. You think you're so precious now. Zoe, who gave you the courage to harass my wife?" Zoe's vision went black. A sharp pain twisted in her stomach. She was terrified, filled with regret. Why had she been so greedy? Why had she wanted to be Mrs. Thorne? If she had just had the baby quietly, she would have been set for life. "I won't do it again. Sebastian, I swear," she sobbed. "Please, save the baby. The baby. It's too late." He threw her aside in disgust. "Zoe, you'd better pray to God that my wife forgives me and comes home. Otherwise, your life is truly over. Sebastian, it's your child too." She writhed on the floor in agony, her bloody hand reaching for him. But he stepped away, watching coldly as she passed out. Then he made a call. "Send her to the hospital. Just make sure she doesn't die." Without another glance at her, he left. Downstairs, a thin layer of white covered the ground. He was only in a shirt and trousers, but he didn't feel the cold. He tried Charlotte's number again. Still no answer. He looked down at the wedding ring on his finger and suddenly remembered. Charlotte hadn't been wearing hers for days. So, at the hospital that day, she had seen, she had heard, but she hadn't confronted him. She hadn't shed a single tear. How disappointed in him must she have been? He didn't dare to imagine what she had been feeling then, just as he couldn't find the words to describe what he was feeling now. "I followed my professor to a small town in the remote northwest. The conditions were basic. The schedule was tight. My professor was worried I wouldn't be able to handle it. But after an initial period of adjustment, I gradually adapted to the fast-paced life and work. I got a new phone and number, but I kept the old one on. though I left it at my lodgings. It was filled with calls and texts from Sebastian almost every day. I never answered or read them. I called Stella and told her briefly what had happened. She cursed Sebastian for a full 10 minutes. No wonder you just disappeared. Charlotte. He's been looking for you like a madman. He even came to the hospital to find me several times. But I really don't know where you are. He's also been questioning all our old friends. If he asks you again, just say you don't know. I told her. I will. Don't worry. But Charlotte, will you ever come back? Of course. I have to go back and finalize the divorce. What if he refuses? I laughed. It doesn't matter. I'll be traveling all over. He won't be able to find me. We can just let it drag on. The Thorne family won't allow that. He's their only son, with an empire to inherit. After the call, some of my junior colleagues came to get me for dinner. It was lamb hot pot again, the aroma filling the air. Back in the city, my diet had always been strictly controlled due to my health. But here, I was eating like a local, and I felt more energetic than ever. You're looking so much healthier these past few days, my professor said with a smile. Not so pale anymore. It's because I'm happy with you, Professor. I'm eating well and sleeping well. I snuggled up to her, teasing. You're a grown woman now, acting like a child in front of your juniors, she said with mock disapproval. But she placed a large piece of meat in my bowl. Eat up while it's hot. I took a big bite, but my nose suddenly stung. Not wanting her to see me cry, I quickly finished the meat in my bowl, tears and all. That night, the old phone buzzed incessantly. Sebastian was calling non-stop. When it finally stopped, I sent him my first and last text. Once the divorce papers are signed, I will return to the city to finalize the proceedings with you. Do not contact me about anything else. Otherwise, this number will be permanently disconnected. The moment I sent it, he called again. I didn't answer. He didn't call a second time. A long time later, a single word came back. Okay. After sending the text, Sebastian slumped onto the sofa and laughed silently, his face in his hands. His friends sat around, not daring to speak. He had been searching for Charlotte like a madman. The news was slowly spreading through their circle. His mistress, Zoe, was in a bad way. She had been taken to the hospital too late, and they couldn't save her uterus. But Sebastian still hadn't let her go. She had been expelled from her university, and her parents had disowned her. Now, she was barely surviving, praying every day that Charlotte would come back so Sebastian would finally leave her alone. But Charlotte had vanished. Seb, was that a text from your wife? Someone asked tentatively. Sebastian lay on the sofa, his eyes closed, silent for a long time. Just when they thought he wouldn't answer, he spoke. She's really done with me. The atmosphere froze. No way. You two have been together for so long. Once she cools down, if you just apologize sincerely, she'll forgive you. She has a soft heart. Sebastian just shook his head. You don't know her. Just then, the door was kicked open, slamming against the wall with a loud crash. Everyone jumped and turned to look. Sebastian slowly sat up. He squinted, and upon seeing who it was, he sneered. Well, if it isn't Rhys Donovan. Rhys didn't answer, didn't even glance at anyone else in the room. He strode straight to Sebastian, kicked over the coffee table, and grabbed him by the collar. Sebastian, still drunk, was easily dragged up and slammed against the wall. What? You want to fight? Sebastian's sneer was mocking and vicious. Before he could finish, Rhys's fist connected with his face. Sebastian, I told you 5 years ago, if you ever hurt her, I wouldn't let you get away with it. Sebastian turned his head, blood pouring from his nose. He wiped it away carelessly and threw a punch back. The room descended into chaos. Bottles shattered. Furniture overturned. Sebastian, drunk and outmatched, was soon kicked to the ground. Both men were bloodied and bruised. Who the hell do you think you are? This is between me and my wife. What right do you have to interfere? Sebastian leaned against the sofa, laughing coldly. Heard we were having trouble, so you came running to pick up the pieces. A pity. Rhys, Charlotte chose me over you 5 years ago, and she'll do it again. Rhys slowly clenched his bleeding fist. The gash on the back of his hand split open further, but he seemed not to feel the pain. For old time's sake, a word of advice. Don't covet another man's wife. Sebastian sneered. We've been married for 3 years. We've slept together countless times. He deliberately stared at Reese, savoring the pain on his face. Her first love, her first kiss, her first time. They were all mine. What do you have to compete with me, Reese? Everyone knows how much she loves me. The more she fights with me, the more it proves she cares. So, what's the point of you coming all this way? You think you can just swoop in and win her over? Dream on, Reese. She's never had eyes for you. She will never love you. Sebastian pushed himself up from the sofa. Though he was a mess, he still stood tall before his old rival. I'm not divorcing my wife. Give up. You will never have a chance. Sebastian, Reese said, his eyes like frost. If I had known 5 years ago what kind of scum you were, I would have taken her from you, even if she hated me for it. With what? Or are you just one of those guys who likes other people's leftovers? Reese's bloody fist slammed into his jaw. I'm waiting for your karma to hit you, he said, his eyes blazing. Sebastian had never believed in karma. But when he finally reached that small, sand-swept town, only to see Reese find Charlotte in the desert before he could, he knew, in that instant, that his karma had arrived. Swift, sudden, and indefensible. The sand swirled, obscuring everything. He didn't know if she saw him. He just watched as Reese carefully helped the injured Charlotte into a desert SUV. She was too weak to climb in herself. Reese had to lift her. He followed them to the hospital. Her professor stopped him at the door but let Reese go in with her. The wind died down. The sand settled. He spat out a mouthful of sand and lit a cigarette. One after another. Has she been here with you all this time? He asked her mentor, his voice hoarse. Yes. She's a hard worker. Her health. Has it been difficult for her? The professor just looked at him. No. She's been happy. Sebastian's eyes were terrifyingly red, perhaps from the wind and sand. Do I still have a chance? Will she forgive me? I truly regret it. I know I was wrong. He was like a lost, helpless child, clinging to the professor's sleeve, on the verge of tears. I don't know, but I respect all of Charlotte's choices. Professor, please, help me. But the professor shook her head and removed his hand. Charlotte is my most brilliant student. I know her well, and she is very much like me. In this matter, no one can help you. But Professor, we were together for 10 years. So what? The professor's smile was cool and dismissive. My ex-husband and I were married for 15. He knelt and begged me to take him back. But a man who has been soiled is just that. Soiled. No different from trash. Sebastian, we women are not a recycling center. If you truly value your 10 years with her, then let her go. The day the divorce was finalized, as we were leaving the city hall, Sebastian called out to me. Honey. He looked dazed. All the life gone from him. Call me by my name, Charlotte. He walked up to me. Can we still be friends? Like we were 10 years ago. Start over as friends. I shook my head. No. But Charlotte. I cut him off. Sebastian. I told you 5 years ago. In my dictionary, there is no word for forgiveness. I compromised once. And 5 years later, I paid the price. We won't be friends. We can't even start over as strangers. Don't you understand me, Sebastian? Nothing special. Charlotte Hayes is stubborn to the core. He stared at me. You heard everything that night. I nodded. Yes, everything. The last glimmer of light in his eyes shattered. But Charlotte, you took the pearl necklace. Our wedding rings. He grasped at the last straw. But I broke it for him. I melted them down in my workshop. Sebastian, you can look for your old feelings in the sewer. I turned to leave. But he caught up to me. Are you going to be with Reese? But all men are the same. Charlotte, he's only like this because he hasn't had you yet. Once he does, he'll make the same mistakes I did. So what? I looked at him calmly. After an ex like you, what do I have left to lose? Are you going to marry him? I'll think carefully about marriage. But I'm still young. A career I love and a man I love are perfectly compatible. You love him. I smiled at him. Is that any of your business? As I waited at a crosswalk, I saw a familiar car parked by the side of the road. Reese was leaning against it, dressed in a black windbreaker. It was early spring. The bare branches were just starting to bud, but the air was still cold. He stood there quietly, his eyes darting in my direction. Until he saw me, he straightened up instantly, and the sun broke through the clouds, casting a soft halo in his eyes. Charlotte, he said, striding towards me as the light turned green and the crowd began to move. I stood still, a small smile on my lips, watching him walk towards me like a scene from a timeless movie. Charlotte, he said again when he reached me, his breathing a little uneven. The tips of his ears were red, perhaps from the cold. I looked up at him, and for a moment, I remembered the rebellious, untamed boy from years ago. So all those chance encounters on the way to and from school weren't by chance at all. And all those fleeting glances were not just coincidences. I couldn't imagine what it must have been like for him to watch from the sidelines as I fell in love with Sebastian. What he must have felt when I rejected him. But love has no logic. The teenage Reese and Sebastian were two different worlds. And the sensitive, insecure me had been drawn to the one who knew how to charm a girl. I didn't regret the past. I was just ready to move forward. Have you been waiting long? I asked with a smile. Not long. Just in time. The hand at his side moved slightly, as if to take mine. But he hesitated. Reese, I said, stomping my foot lightly. The spring wind in this city is so cold. Are you cold? Yes. My hands are frozen. I held them out for him to see. He didn't speak, just gently took my hands in his, rubbing them until they were warm again, then tucked them into his coat pocket. The light turned green again, and the crowd moved. He pulled me along, and we joined the flow. Spring had arrived. It was a good season for falling in love. Epilogue. Sebastian's POV. Charlotte married Reese. All our old classmates, friends, and teachers were there. The wedding was smaller than ours had been, but it was filled with a warmth and happiness that ours had lacked. I watched it all on a friend's social media. Everyone told me to move on, to stop looking, but I couldn't. I was like a thief in the dark, searching for a crack in their happiness, or perhaps just pouring salt on my own wounds. I didn't sleep that night, just endlessly scrolled through their photos and videos. Charlotte was still so beautiful. The years of hard work and rough living hadn't dimmed her beauty. In fact, she looked more alive, healthier, than she ever had as my wife. I knew they were often apart for months at a time due to her work. I had secretly hoped that Reese, being a man, would eventually stray. I even had him watched, hoping to catch him in a mistake that I could report back to her. But years passed, and he remained faithful. He proposed several times, and she always said no. I was secretly thrilled, but it was short-lived. Though she wouldn't marry him, she stayed at his house whenever she was back in the city. At first, I looked forward to her return, just to catch a glimpse of her from afar. But then I began to dread it, because my nightmares were filled with images of them in bed together. The first time she moved in with him, they didn't leave the house for 3 days. When they finally emerged to go grocery shopping, he was glowing, and she looked like a newly blossomed flower. I sat in my car, torturing myself with the sight. In that moment, I wanted to die. In the 2nd year of their marriage, she became pregnant. That was the same year that Zoe, in a fit of vengeful rage, retaliated against me after years of my torment. I didn't die, but by a cruel twist of fate. As Charlotte's belly grew, my doctor delivered my own death sentence. I would be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, and I had lost the ability to have children. Reese's words had come true. I had betrayed the woman I loved most. I had kicked away my only child, and now, I had lost her forever and could never have another. This was my karma, and for the rest of my hopeless, drawn out life, I was condemned to live in the retribution I had sown myself, with no escape.